Hey Skyfares, and welcome to Aethercast, the Kharadron Overlords podcast. I'm Lee, the Arcanite Admiral, and joining me today is a plethora of great admirals, joined by, you know him, you love him, he's our thunderer from down under, Alexander Cron.
Hey.
And Cron, are you happy or sad about the changes?
Oh, I'm a Gladmiral.
You're a
I'm definitely a Gladmiral.
Okay, and also
good stuff in here.
Friend of the show, joining us from Canada, Adeptus Dices. Are you a Gladmiral or a Sadmiral, Adeptus?
I'm a very Gladmiral. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. And first time on the show, joining us from Germany, Maximus Prime, also known as Max Bowman from the KO chat, if people know him. Are you a Gladmiral or a Sadmiral, Max?
I am definitely a Gladmiral. Hello, YouTube.
Brilliant. And I am also a Gladmiral at the moment because we have points changes. And you know what points mean?
Ooh.
Prizes. Hopefully. Maybe for someone like Con and Adeptus. Probably not for me. But what do you think for you, Max? Do you think they will mean prizes for you?
I hope so. I'm planning to play more tournaments. I've played one so far, which went well. Didn't win, but my first tournament went well. Yeah. So I'm organizing one myself in 3 weeks.
Wow.
1 day here. And then I've enlisted to a couple of 2 days this year.
Nice.
I'm just waiting to see if we're going to have tournaments again in England at the moment. They're managing in Scotland, though, so that's a good sign.
I'm hosting a 2-day August 8 and 9, by the way. It's a 50-player event. That's the limit we can have in Quebec. So we're hosting that event. Will be our first event, really our first big event back since March. Really excited about that.
That's pretty exciting. Will you be playing as well, or are you just TOing?
No, I'm just TOing. But I think there should be at least 5 or 6 admirals representing us. So hopefully a lot of more Gladmirals will be on board and winning some prizes.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot more admirals joining the ranks very soon.
I'm actually doing a tournament.
Go ahead,
same
Cron.
time. Oh, yeah. I'm doing a tournament 8th and 9th as well.
Cool.
2-dayer. Cinderfall GT here in SA. We're going to invite the other states, but not anymore. They're not allowed. Just us. So it's small, 20 people, but
they're not allowed, or just you're not inviting them.
Well, kind of both, really. So with all the states are kind of still separate in Australia in separate lockdowns, but you know, we also don't want those dirty Victorians and New South Walers to come over here anyway, ruining our fun, stealing our prizes.
Keep all the fun for you.
Max, did you see when your tournament is?
Pardon me?
The tournament you're organising?
It is a 1-dayer on the 8th of August. Yes, my first tournament.
As well.
Lots of Warhammer on that date.
Yes, definitely. We have 1 KO player enlisted, and if I have to join because someone drops out, then I'll definitely with KO too.
Excellent. Well, that's going to be a busy weekend for Warhammer then. Okay. Well, let's get cracking into the points then. Let me just see if I can remember how to share my screen, because Max has been very nice and made some cool graphics for us. So it's going to be no good if you're listening on the podcast, I'm afraid. Sorry. we will talk through things. So I think we might as well just go through in order. In fact, actually, I think what I'll do is I will just quickly read out the changes for anyone that has been living under a rock and doesn't know what they are. No offense intended. The changes for KO. Arcanaut Frigate has gone down to 220. Ironclad has gone down to 480. I'll skip down to the gun hauler, do all the shit skipper. That's gone down to 130. The Admiral has gone down to 120. Brock Grunson has gone down to 220.
Oh,
And the Engine Master with dirigible suit has gone down to 190. And all of the battalions have gone down 20 points from what they were before. So that's 120 now for the escort wing, 100 for the attack squadron, and 110 for the Iron Sky Command. And probably the best time to mention it is now is the battalion from the box set has gone. We've got a new one.
no.
Sadmiral.
Yes, sad more about that, unfortunately.
That's some sad morals.
How do you? Are you a sad more on that one, Max?
I don't know. Those Freeman units didn't play my string really. I know that it was a great battalion for the points cost, but I've never really seen it in a competitive environment and MSU unit. I don't know. Not my type.
I'm a sad moral that the Ether Strike Force disappeared.
Oh,
This
yeah.
old thing.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Was that with Stormcast?
Yeah, I mean, we all knew that was going to disappear, I guess. I mean,
it was.
kind of expected the Intrepid Prospectors to disappear as well, I guess. But yeah, it's still sad to lose options, I guess.
Maybe we'll get a White Dwarf battalion.
Maybe. Yeah. If they do it the same way they did for Slanesh, then that'd be good.
You see the trend?
Although that might not be good because then they got nerfed. So yeah, maybe not. Okay, so let's start with just general thoughts on the points changes. I assume everyone's pretty happy.
How could you not?
Yeah.
I mean, I did not. These are actually the league points for a few weeks back.
Yes.
And when I saw that document, I called bunkers on it because, that could not happen. I could not see all the ships basically drop by 20 or 30 points. The Engine Master by 30 points. That was nuts. And yet here we are. I mean, that's just a godsend basically for us players.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, we talked about it. I guess it was a couple of weeks ago now, didn't we, Quan? And we were a little bit dubious because it almost felt wish listy.
Few people I was talking to saying that's some kind of wish listing thing, but no, looks like you were right, Lee.
Well, I mean, I just shared a picture that someone else shared in the group. So, but yeah, I wish I had these amazing predictive powers. But yeah, so
well,
let's look into.
Oh, and by the way, Lee, there's actually one thing missing from that list, though. The Warp Lightning Vortex, which is basically a KO endless spell now, which also dropped by 20 points.
Yeah,
which is, I don't know why. I don't know.
There it is.
Thank you very much. There you go.
There we go.
I don't get it. I was fully expecting a nerf, like to be a FAQ to only activate once it's cast, but to keep the War Scroll as is and have it drop by 20 points, I still don't get it, to be honest.
I believe because using it in a Ziflin hero phase action is a very corner case, small apart thing. And apart from that, they nerfed it to 13 inches. Okay, you can do more with Skitter Leap in a Skaven army, but it takes a lot of stuff to pull it off. Maybe 100 points they felt was too much.
Yeah, but
I agree that the rules that it procs twice after deployment and then after the first movement phase maybe is too much. Maybe they should have changed it only in the movement phase.
Yeah, and for 80 points to keep it like that, only one activation, it would be fine. It would be a really good endless spell. But now for 80 points, of course, with the Zelfin way, it's easier for us to cast it. but it's just mind-boggling, to be honest.
Mm.
It's an auto-include right now in the Zilfin list.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's very powerful for what it does.
One of the things about it is just its sheer volume of space it sort of takes up. Well, not necessarily just takes up, but the area it affects is quite large. 7 inches, apart for each of those spells, and then the range from those points as well.
Another 6, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a big area.
Mhm.
You're not hiding from it really. I mean, obviously, if you're not within range of all 3 of them or 2 of them, it's less effective.
What I noticed playing, I include this in every list I tested out so far. It is sometimes hard to set up because it goes on 40 millimeter bases. If the opponent knows what he's doing, he tries to screen his area around his important heroes that you can only set it up in front of the screen or to the side where it doesn't, at least not 2 or 3 of them affect the enemy unit that you actually want to affect.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's ways to play around, but it's tricky. It's tough.
And it's just a little bit fiddly as well because it's 7 inches exactly and a triangle.
Yes.
But even then, if you deploy accordingly, it still messes up with your opponent's deployment. He has to take that into effect.
Yeah.
That in itself is a huge advantage.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, but setting this thing up, as you said, exactly 7 from each, a triangle, it doesn't speed up the game. Let's put it that way.
That's true. That's true.
It takes some time.
It's a long first hero phase, yeah.
I've seen you can get a gamer aid for it.
I've got that gamer aid, but unfortunately it's not very exact because you need to pull it from above, and the 7 inches exactly where the magnets sit, so it's a bit hard to actually put in between. It's good to check out where can I actually put it, but then you're back to measuring 7 inches. I need to cut myself some 7-inch measuring sticks.
Okay, that's interesting. Did you say it's magnetic? I didn't realize it was magnetic unless it's a different gamer aid.
Maybe I'm talking about the one from Pro Painted Studios.
I can't remember, but I haven't bought it.
It's like 3 magnetic sticks that clip together and then form a perfect triangle.
Oh.
Okay. I think I might have just seen it. The picture of it was just them all ready together, so it wasn't obviously magnetic. Maybe. I assume it's just for storage. That's why they're magnetic. I guess I don't know. But so I guess everyone's pretty happy about this then.
Definitely.
Yeah. Can we go as far as just saying it's an honorary KO model now?
It basically is.
And I've seen a lot of conversions.
Yeah.
The amount of times you use it.
Right.
So basically, with all these changes, my initial SAGT list has gone down 100 points.
Yeah. So you can basically play a unit.
I could just stick in another just straight up stick in another unit of Endling Riggers. Or with a bit of tweaking, I could probably fit in a gun hauler.
Yeah.
That could work. Still running the Iron Sky command?
Yeah. It's just a nice cheap battalion now that gives you 1 big drop.
Yeah.
Gets all your little heroes.
How about for you, Adeptus? Because you were running Escort Wing before, so several ships in there, so you must have dropped quite a few points.
I dropped 110, but unlike most KO players, I wasn't using either the Ironclad or the Dirigible Engine Master. That's about to change though, because with the points I saved, I'm gonna upgrade the Engine Master to put him on a balloon. And the line of thought is, we actually had a small one-day event this past Sunday. And one thing I noticed, and I know we're going to talk about the GHB and the scenarios, the battle plans in a later show, but the new scenarios, they all add something like an extra if you're with your battle lines, your leaders, or your monsters. And we play the better part of Valor, where only battle line units can score. So just that, because that scenario will be played in a lot of events, I think, just by adding that model, the engine master with the visual suit, I go from 3 to 7 battle line units.
Oh,
So
wow.
just that little upgrade for me is awesome. And on top of it is an awesome model. It's something I always want to include, but I didn't know what to remove from my list because I'm more of an MSU guy, and I don't like to put all my eggs into one big basket, or like Kron does with his Ironclad and Thunderers. But that's not my play style. But now that I have the points available, that's definitely what I'm shooting for.
Cool. And Max, with the list you were running, how many points have you dropped?
So I was running the classic list. Maybe everyone starts off the Ziflin 2-drop Warp Lightning Vortex on Iron Sky Command plus an extra gun holder. That went down, I believe, 130 points. So that's a second gun holder. Now it's a free drop, but gun holders are awesome. So that's great.
Just trying to. I haven't actually worked out how much mine's gone down. Because the thing is the list, the last list I actually played, is not the list I had been planning on running. So, I went down 20.
Yeah, so the same for me. With the leaks, I started trying out new lists, and I'm not sure if I like the new list better than the old one, but it's a similar build.
When you get into that 2-drop zone, like having that 3rd drop might be a turn off, because at 2 drops you're usually gonna outdrop pretty much everyone. But now all of a sudden with 3 drops, Earlbad, Beastclaw Raiders, they outdrop you automatically, basically, because it's a 2-drop list. So a lot of lists are 2 drops. Now the 3rd drop might be the difference between having a chance to choose who goes first and not.
Yes, I agree, but with the high mobility and being able to just deploy in a corner, it doesn't hurt us as much as other armies, perhaps.
I totally agree, but it's always nice to have the initiative.
Definitely.
But that's just me. I know.
No, it is.
It's always nice to
choose to go second.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your opponent might force you to go first, and then you work with it, but it's not ideal.
Then he has a Warp Lightning Vortex in his deployment.
Yeah.
100%.
But you're one bad shooting phase away from maybe having a double turn, and for us, it might mean something really bad.
Yeah.
But one thing I was surprised to not see actually drop were the Sky Wardens. I really thought they would go down to 90 points.
Yes.
Or
engine riggers up to 110.
Or riggers to go up.
Exactly. A fair thing as well, with all the other point changes, especially.
Yeah, exactly. I was surprised to see this, to be honest, because they're still not on par with. There are 2 different War Scrolls, and they're not worth 100 points each. That's for sure. They're not the same. They're not worth the same.
Yeah, you can make them work, but it takes a lot to do.
Well, I have 2 3-man units in my escort wing, just because they're lower drops. They can benefit from the rerolls, but they're just like 2 3-man squads just to harass, grab objectives, stuff like that, screen. But that's the only reason I put them in over riggers at that point. It's just I already have 7 drops, so just to not go over that. But that's the only reason I do this.
Yeah, I mean, there's only really 2 situations where you maybe 3 situations where you choose Sky Wardens over Engine Riggers, which is 1 is Escort Wing for drops, 2 is if you are playing Barracks on, and the 3rd, maybe sort of half a reason, is if you say you've already got some Engine Riggers and you just want to have that utility of potentially rolling lots of dice if a massive flying unit charges, if you can position them well. But that's a very edge case.
Yeah. Well, they can be interesting against Nidons, against Deepkin maybe, but that's about it. Just if you know you're gonna have to sacrifice a unit, might as well do a few mortal wounds while you're at it.
Yeah.
But that's very situational indeed.
Yeah, I mean, if it was, I'm trying to think, like a year ago or whenever it was when there's big units of Grimghast Reapers everywhere, then maybe. But
yeah,
I mean, if you play against Idnef, they're not normally very big units of eels, so you're not going to roll many dice to do those mortals. And yeah, Nighthaunt. I mean, Nighthaunt weren't in a good place. Did they actually get any points changes?
I think a few did, but that was maybe 1 or 2 heroes. I don't remember exactly.
I think maybe a unit.
Yeah.
Nighthaunt are currently arguing whether or not Legion of Grief is legal at the moment.
Why couldn't be?
It wasn't mentioned in the GHB. They didn't show Legion of Grief as a. They didn't mention it as an allegiance, and a lot of their White Dwarf battalions didn't get points, so they've been made illegal as well.
Oh, I see. But the army as a whole, I don't think, because they had nothing with points. They took units from Nidons and Legions of Nagash, so their points were changed in their respective books. But for the battalions, that's interesting.
Yeah. I was assuming they fixed it in the FAQ, but actually in the GHB, I think it was Hexbase had different points in Legions of Nagash than they did in Nighthaunt, and no one was really sure whether that was intentional or not. But no, it doesn't sound like. I think we would have heard about it by now if Nighthaunt were all of a sudden a thing.
Yeah.
So it's not. It's not really something to worry about at the moment. Taking Sky Wardens for that reason.
No, eels are still a thing. They are ever present.
Yes, definitely.
But
yeah, small units on those though. So
what are those point drops? Are you planning on taking the Admiral or Brug Grungson?
No.
Mustache gone. Come on.
Look, I can see he's trying very hard to be relevant again. He's put his points down. He wants to put on a list, but just no.
It's like 2017, 2018 again, where they slowly kept creeping, like putting his points down, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then it finally actually just took the nerf to Zilfin for actually some people to play him before, but it's not enough now, is it? Because they also put the Endrin Master with dirigible suit down. So yeah, why would you?
Even if the Endrin Master remained the same points, he's still better because he can take a trait and an artifact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now he's even 30 points less. So
yeah,
as cool as the model is, I mean, I chop mine up for conversions, but it is a great model. Outside of Baraknar, and even then.
Yeah. I'm really sad about the Admiral though, because I love that model. But it's just the War Scroll is just so bad. I think it's badly written. I think the rules are clunky, but it's a shame because I love that model.
I mean, we thought that with all the generic command abilities the Admiral was kind of doing, that they might get rid of generic command abilities in the next GHB, but they didn't. So, what's the point?
Exactly.
I can make a ship reroll ones to hit in shooting, or I could do that with a chemist,
or the repel borders.
Yeah, there are some things you can do with the Admiral, and the
hammer boat.
Hammer
run
boat
and shoot on the boat has some legs. It's easily overlooked because you can fly high, but there are some things I think you can do with run and shoot, particularly with disengage as well. And then if you've got the last word on an ironclad, So you're constantly, retreating, running, and shooting to basically be a big distraction almost. And then every time they charge it to try and deal with this thing that's doing 10 wounds to them a turn, they get
I mean,
shot again.
Zilfin runs 6, so there's that.
Yeah. I mean, 20 points down. Yeah, I think he's got lots of command abilities is the thing, and not all of them are good. But he is also one of the most durable heroes we have now, and actually relatively durable in terms of the game now, because a lot of heroes, because they changed the rules about DPR saves, ward saves,
Yeah.
and his doesn't get affected because it's passing a wound off to a unit.
Mhm.
So he's fairly durable. You put him inside a ship, he's got 2+ save.
Especially interesting with the new battle plans where if there's a hero, people cannot burn your objective or you score extra points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Could be interesting. But overall, I think heroes in KO are not as important as in other armies.
Yeah, I don't think
really.
that extra durability will make me pick the admiral for a third hero. For example, I'll pick a navigator. I'll pick an engine master. They're more useful as a whole for a 5 or 6 game event. I think you'll get more out of those than the admiral for 1 or 2 battle plans.
I think if you're going to take him, you're probably almost building around one of his abilities or something. Because the other thing is not his battle shock immunity bubble, which is free. That's really good. Of course, obviously, if you're taking Iron Sky Command, then you're doubling up. Or say if you're playing in Barak Nar, which probably not, but if you are playing in Barak Nar, then again you'll have a command trait there for Battle Shock Community Bubble. So most of his abilities double up with something you can get elsewhere.
I could see him in an Iron Sky command if you put him in the second boat. Then you have 2 immunity bubbles.
Yes. And that's the other thing as well with the Iron Sky command is he can't be your third hero. Because
no, he's an extra.
He's an extra. You have your 3 heroes and then him. So, I mean, you might consider him just for a 1-drop list.
Mm-hmm.
If you really want to go 1-drop, then that's one way of doing it.
But then take 10 engine riggers. 3 more engine riggers, sorry.
Yes, although you'd be going up to one of the units wouldn't be able to go with a ship.
Which is fine.
But yeah, I mean, you could do like a unit of riggers in that case, like a 12, a 6, and a 3 or something.
I mean, one thing you could do with the admiral now is use him as an Anvil of Apotheosis hero. It's a nice model. He can always be reused.
That would be 100-point decrease if you just make him a 40-point hero.
That'd probably be more useful too.
With one very useful command ability.
+1 to hit. Oh, I like that.
But then he cannot grow in the boat.
You know what's marine keyword. You know what's better than an ironclad? Is an ironclad with a 2+ save.
I had a question, by the way, for all of you, because I know, Max, you're playing Zilfin. Am I right?
Mostly, yes.
Mostly. Kron's still playing Urbaz?
Zilfin more.
Oh, so you came to the light side. That's good. Do you think that with the Vortex dropping by 20 points and the whole list dropping a bit more, do you think that more players will flock from Urbaz to Zilfin? Do you see that happening?
I think the FAQ makes it certainly more appealing.
That's right. Yes. So it's confirmed now. You can take your boat. You can teleport it. You can get people with it, and then you can get out in the hero fate. There
you go.
Yeah. So good news, I haven't been cheating all this time.
Yes.
Me neither.
This is a legitimate tactic,
Yeah.
and it's dirty because you can't screen against it.
Yeah.
You teleport 9 inches away from the enemy, and they've got their screen, so you're kind of stuck out behind, and then you move forward 10,
Mm-hmm.
and then you shoot everything.
Yeah. And you move your riggers 12, and
Yeah.
you cast Warp Lightning Vortex.
Warp Lightning Vortex 13 inches forward, and you Phosphex bomblets with your Endrin Master, and fun times. Everything dies, and then you get a double turn and just wipe them out. Turn 2, game over, easy.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
It is. Yeah, that brings us to maybe a different discussion. Is it still fun for the other player?
It's
Yeah.
not.
I don't know.
I think we're starting to be in the same boat as OBR.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
We're the bad guys
falling out
now.
of the boat and drowned, but
We are. But
And
going back.
Zinch change those.
yeah.
Sorry, going back to the Urbaz player, Ziflim player. I think Urbaz, or at least the builds I've seen, is always a lot of Thunderers.
Mm-hmm.
So if people like to play with Thunderers and they know how to use them, maybe they are not as tempted as to go to Zilfin, because I feel it is more difficult to put or to make Thunderers work in Zilfin, because it's
Why
just
do you
so
say that?
appealing to do the Alpha Strike engine riggers in their face. And then I struggle to find points for Thunderers. I love the models. I'd love to have them. But either you end up, personally, at least I end up having either 20 in a boat, so 1,000 points in one model, which, I don't know, with all the mortal wounds flying about, or you have a 5-man or a 10-man unit, which, I don't know. Then does it do that much shooting?
I prefer in a Zilfin. I'd go Thunderers over Endriggers all the time. Just put those Thunders in the boat. Boat teleports forward. Thunderers get out. Boat moves up. Thunderers move up. Thunderers get all their +1 to hit with their special weapons, and you just have this firepower coming from these 2 massive 500-point units that just obliterates the enemy army.
Okay.
The riggers just flying around as kind of holding objectives, while the Thunders make up the core of your push.
Okay.
I just think that because of that FAQ that settles the debate once and for all, that you can actually fly high and bring hitchers with you, plus the Vortex that drops by 20 points. I just think that it's such a no-brainer decision to play Zilfin for that in a competitive environment, mind you. If you're playing, casual games, do whatever you want. But I think that
if you want.
Yeah, there you go. That would be awesome, by the way. But
I'm waiting for a Brock list to win a tournament.
Oh yeah, I might take you up on that. I might try.
Yeah, I think it's possible now.
Yeah. But anyway, so I just think that the KO list will be a Zilfin list, probably Iron Sky Command because of the Ironclad, because of the low drop, and I think we're dangerously close to becoming, as you said, the new OBR, the new change ups, there you go. And because I saw, Zinch at a few points hike, OBR, their Petrifex elite got nerfed to the ground.
They're not elite anymore. They're just Petrifex.
Yeah, they're just Petrifex. There you go.
Yes.
So I don't know. Seraphon might be a thing. I played against Seraphon once or twice, and they're not that fun.
I played a lot
Skinks
against
is
Seraphon.
very powerful.
Oh yeah.
That hasn't changed at all. And the cloak with Skinks and then summon salamanders is still an extremely powerful list.
I agree.
Yeah. Salamanders have gone up though a bit, so
but they were a joke before.
You don't have to pay for them. You just summon them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I play a lot against Seraphon. A good friend of mine, he plays Seraphon competitively. It's a Krogs on the Sally's list, teleporting about. That's when you choose to go first. Vortex him, shoot everything into him, into the Astolat Bearer and the Temple Guard, and then you charge in into melee, send in the Endrin Master of Dirigible suit to do double damage in melee. Doesn't matter if they die, because if you kill him, you killed half of the army, which is still in reserve, because they need a slan to come down.
Exactly.
And then basically those are the wins that you win after your first round.
Yeah.
Game over. After 20 minutes, where he just sat there doing a lot of save rolls, and that's why I think could be a very negative play experience, because he doesn't play. He doesn't get to play.
I agree. That's why I'm glad to have those point drops. I'm glad to have everything, but I don't think it's gonna be just friends of mine. They're starting to talk trash about the new KOs and stuff like that. They're the new bad guys, so you're playing them, and so it's gonna be fun to play against you. So I'm getting this right now, so I can't wait when I actually play the new list with more stuff in it. It's gonna be even more fun.
Yeah.
Well,
sorry.
So I might gonna play Brock just for fun.
You know what the quickest way for us to become bad guys is? If people actually start trying to play that vent plates the way they're talking about playing the vent plates. That is a once per phase ability. Stop trying to make it for the whole game. Yeah. You're going to make everyone look bad.
I agree.
Infinite vent plates.
I agree.
Never chose them.
It works for one shooting phase, please.
And that's it.
Yeah. The annoying thing about that is, I know I sent it in to GW before the FAQ. I sent it to them twice, and I know other people have. In fact, I sent them lots of questions, but the only one we got answered was this one, which I really wanted that one answered.
Yeah, it's still a big one.
It was the biggest one. Now Ventplace is probably the biggest unanswered question, but it's like they've had the opportunity, and it would be so easy for them to fix it.
Yeah, and judging by that answer for the FAQ, I mean, to me, it was obvious that the point of the rule, there's always a reason to look for it, was to basically grant an extra move to one of your unit once per game in your hero phase. And that extra move can be any move it's allowed to make normally. That was, to me, the point of the rule. Just like the vent plates, its point is to have that buff or that debuff exactly for one shooting phase. That's the intent. Anyone with a pulse can see that. But of course, there's rule as intended, rule as written. So I'm more of a rule as intended guy. But I totally get why power gamers will try to have an extra advantage.
We have enough for power gamers to power game in this book without needing to also rules lawyer and break it like that.
Yeah.
I agree.
We just got the teleport. Be happy with that. It's fine. You can smash it. You can smash a couple games with this book. It's 100% possible without trying to find loopholes. It's okay.
Here's a question for you guys. Would you take vent plates? And do you think there's any value in taking it and playing it with a rules as intended point of view, and only using it where it works for just that one shooting phase?
If shooting becomes more popular,
more popular than salamanders and flamers and KO.
We're in a pretty shooting a heavy meta right now.
Yeah.
I still don't see much of that around here. So I'm still, fighting OBR and Korn, and hell, there's a Sylvaneth player coming to the tournament. I don't know what he's doing, but especially because this tournament is going to be set all 100% in the realm of fire. You know what that means? They summon trees, the trees explode and kill them all.
Well, he finally
Yeah.
finished painting all the old Citadel Wildwoods, the 8 that he needed. So
Yep.
let him play
And
with the
now,
toy.
I wouldn't use it. I don't know, because that would mean running in a competitive event. That would mean running 2 chemists, and that would mean probably running collector. So that would mean not having the engine master as a general. So that would be a no for me.
I like collector actually.
Yeah.
But then you get
so that-
into the, and I think
with
this is where
collect-
this is going, is the battle line conditions on the new battle plans.
Exactly.
But
If I read in a player pack that there are no battle plans used where battle lines give you extra points or stuff like that, I would consider it. But if there's 1 or 2 battle plans, like Better Part of Valor, and I think the other one is shifting objectives, if I remember correctly, these are the 2 battle plans that either only battle lines can control objectives or they grant you extra points. If I see those scenarios, those battle plans in the player pack, I'm going to run the Ender Master with the dual suit as a general. That's not even a question for me.
I don't see their vent plates are better than a spell in a bottle.
Yeah, especially
Because
now.
apart from the Vortex, yes, the Vortex is great, but there's so many other endless spells that we can take which cannot be unbound. So, Demon Rift, okay, went up to 80 points. Great, you can interchange it with your list. You don't need to change anything. Vortex or Rift, Demon Rift. Life Swarm, Shackles, Palisades,
I
Pendulums.
have a nice question for you guys. Interesting question. With all the points you have now available to you, would you consider, for example, if you already have the Vortex in your list, would you consider adding a second endless spell like the Demon Rift for when you play Tzeentch or Lumineth, for example, where that endless spell could really, really pop up some damage?
So you have the flexibility.
There you go. Would you consider it?
But it's an 80 points.
My list before, for the first time I played him with the new book, was a double ender spell list. It wasn't the Demon Rift, but it was the Everblaze Comet.
Okay.
So I dropped Warp Lightning Vortex, and then I had an incanter cast the Comet from 36 inches away. Well, or, anything above 30 anyway, basically. For 2 big overlapping areas of mortal wounds. But I guess your question is slightly different, whether you would take basically the Demon Rift, I guess, just for the choice.
Well, I mean, maybe not only the Demon Rift, but would you consider purchasing 2 endless spell, fully knowing that you can only use 1 per game because you don't have that incanter?
It's an interesting question.
So it's a question of without having a wizard to cast it.
But it cannot be unbound.
You could choose. You can choose when you go into that game. You can go. Okay, does my spell in a bottle have a Warp Lightning Vortex or a Demon Rift right now?
Yeah.
I think that comes down to how.
Oh, Demon Rift is going to be so good against Lumineth too.
And Tzeentch also.
And Tzeentch.
It comes down to how good Lumineth end up being and how popular they end up being. I think
they're going to end up being pretty good. I've read
some
of the book.
They are good, but I don't think they will be change host good.
No. They have some neat tricks. I mean, I think the archers, the sentinels, will be awesome and will be included in some Deepkin armies for sure to give them some shooting. And with Lumineth, the ability to have them a threat range of 42 inches, shooting without line of sight, more wounds on 5-ups. That's going to be, to me, an auto include. And it'll be that. So I think most armies will be based around this. So I don't know. Maybe just having the Demon Rift or another endless spell like a defensive one, for example. I don't know. Maybe using the barricade to shield you from salamanders if you're a high drop list. I don't know. I'm just Thinking out loud.
It's an interesting option because before you would say, "Oh, I have 130 spare points. Sure, I'll take another endless spell and a command point, and don't go up in drops." But now I'm feeling like, no, I want that. That's too expensive. Why would I waste 80 points? it was 2 weeks ago. It was completely. Yeah, you got me thinking there. Because
well, I know. I'm just.
I mean, it's already done. So.
That's nice.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah,
awesome model. Cool.
That's a. I need to write this down.
So you think we'll? Oh, sorry, Lee, go ahead.
Yes, it's an interesting one. I'm not sure if I would. I guess. I mean, whenever I get new points, I just spend ages going through lots of different permutations and this. So I think it kind of comes down to what the options end up being, because the simple way of doing it is you take your list you had and then you add something to it. But I like to just go from the ground up again. And
yes.
That opens up so many options that you might have 70 points extra in your list, but if you make some tweaks elsewhere, you can fit in an extra unit. It can make a big difference potentially. So I guess it comes down to what sort of points you have free, whether you can justify having 80 dead points almost.
Yeah, all those lists that you built and they went to 2010, 2020. Yeah. Now you can go back and look in them and maybe add something extra.
Yep.
So who's going to try the double ironclad list?
I'm not.
I don't know. That's a lot of points.
I only have one, and I'm not buying another one.
Yeah, I'm not painting another one. That took me way too long.
Yeah, they're not exactly easy.
It's tempting on paper, but yeah.
But
I mean, if you have two ironclads and have an ordinator, and then you have a Knight Vexillor to kind of throw that ordinator in front, throw the ordinator with those ironclads.
Is that still
two ironclads hitting on twos?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I tried that with the old points, and it worked. It beat war clans. And so you'd fit more stuff in it now because the Knight Vexillor went down as well.
Mm. And the Encounter went down.
Yeah. No. I've been looking at permutations with double ironclads, and you're just can't squeeze in like a double battalion version.
Okay.
It's always like battalion plus an extra ironclad, as opposed to you can't do double Iron Sky Command or Iron Sky Command plus escort wing or double escort wing or anything like that, unless you use a frigate version of the escort wing. So I don't know. It does get very tight for points, but I mean, if you can fit 20 Thunderers in a list, you can fit a second Ironclad in because they're the same points now.
Yep.
So it's tempting, but
40 Thunderers.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No Ironclad.
For most games, it's still bodies on the board that's gonna win you the game. Well, sort of. It's the win criteria anyway for objectives in most cases. I don't think it's actually necessarily our win criteria. I think our win criteria is kill stuff.
Kill stuff and then collect points in the third, fourth, and fifth round when no one's there.
Because we can't actually necessarily compete on bodies in most cases. But yeah, I mean, is it killy enough to like an Ironclad?
It's survivable enough.
Yeah. So it won't lose its damage output that much. Whereas units, say if you've got a unit of 10 Thunderers out on the board, 20 because that's a comparison. You lose half of them. you lose half your damage output. Potentially. Although Thunderers are actually a lot better once they're in combat. Especially if you're running mixed weapons.
If they get stuck in combat and you survive, you then shoot back with 8 cannon shots, and it starts getting ridiculous. You'll actually just wipe entire units from combat.
Mm-hmm. And I said, if you lose half your unit, you lose half your damage output, but you don't, because if you're running mixed weapons, then half your damage output is actually coming from 4 guys.
Yeah,
potentially. So
exactly.
I mean, they can be surprisingly durable as well. You can get them to -2 to hit easily in melee anyway. If you've got bent plates nearby, then they're -3 to hit, depending on how you play the rule. Throw in Geminids, -4. They're not going anywhere. Until you play Loomleth, and then they just do more wounds on 6s.
So Lee, from all these point drops that we've seen, which single unit is your favorite? Which one do you like the most that went down in points?
I think I would go with the Endron Master.
That would be my vote as well.
He's in every list, really, and now he's just dropped 30 points. So
yeah, I'm torn between Endron Master and the Gunholder, because a Gunholder for 150 points for what he did was great. 130 is just madness.
It's the mobility.
So good. Because he can always fly high. If he still has 1 wound left, he can fly high. It's the mobility. He can bring 6 or 7 hitchers with him. You can do mortal wounds with the bombs. Awesome.
Yeah.
I think that was when we did the first show about a new battle tome, I said that the most improved player, or even the MVP of the book, was a Gunholder, because it went from never played to almost 2 in every list. Because just the ability to hitchhike models and to always fly high, to me, that was a game changer.
And he has a much smaller footprint than the Ironclad, so fly high is easier to get within that 9.
Exactly.
Or to get where he wants to.
Exactly.
1 inch away from terrain, so it's easier to fit him.
Yeah. And with a collapsible compartment as well, that's a nifty artifact that can give you a lot of tactical possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good vote. I agree.
Yeah.
So I suppose there was that list that Daniel shared in the chat too, wasn't there, with the 5 frigates?
Yeah, I mean, does that tempt you?
It's more frigates than I've ever had. No, that's more of a fun list. No, with the point drops, I might go back to the original CanCon list instead of so which was Urbaz. Go back to trying out these gun haulers again and try the escort wing. Now that I can fit the Lightning Vortex in, before I was limited to a 60-point endless spell, but now I think that list went down like 110, 120 points.
Since I love Thunderers and Brock, I might be tempted by a Gnar list, just for the heck of it. I don't know. Thunderers and Brock. That would be awesome.
But does the anti-magic really help in a meta with those supercasters, Teclis, Tzeentch, Nagash, Croak?
Well, one thing that they wouldn't have would be guns on a mustache. That would be huge for us.
And a top hat.
Oh, and a top hat.
Valid argument.
I'm banking on that. This will stop magic. But no, this is only for a fun list. I might just give it a try, since Brock is the poor child of our battle tome, I might give it a spin just for fun. I don't know.
Okay.
Poor kid. But
Yeah.
frigates before 250. I didn't see them. Now, what do we think at 220?
It's a bargain. I run a
Still-
frigate, so to me, 220 points for that mobility, decent amount of firepower, decent amount of transport, pretty resilient for 220 points. That's a steal. That's the old points of the engine master with dirigible. So to me, frigate, for all it does to the army, at 220 points, it's a real steal.
Mm-hmm.
I still always come back to the problem that you can't fit a 10-man unit and a hero inside.
Right, you go under strength unit.
Go with the old 9-man Thunderous squad.
Was that the original Kron maneuver?
That was 14 Thunderers, but
Yeah,
That's
I think
14. There you go.
14.
Because frigates have got smaller since, obviously.
Oh yeah.
They're shrinking.
Oh yeah. Those new engines, those new engines that allows them to fly high. You have to sacrifice a few passengers.
Weight to do it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of why I often default to the ironclad. It's just you can fit in a decent sized unit. I mean, it depends how you're using your ships, because if you're just bringing riggers around and stuff, and Kron is frozen.
Cool.
There we go.
it's cut out there.
Yeah, we had two of you for a second.
Oh,
But
I've cloned myself.
We were just talking about the ships, Kron. About the difference between the frigate and the ironclad.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to how you use them a little bit. Like if you want to take troops, you're just shuffling around riggers.
The frigates are I don't like the firepower. It's not great firepower. It's the frigate does almost as much damage as the gun hauler, and nowhere near as much damage as the ironclad. It just kind of sits in the middle there. It doesn't have enough transport. It's this middle kind of I don't know. I'd say if you want to go mass firepower, just take gun haulers, and if you want both, go the ironclad and the frigate. Just too many compromises.
All right.
So, adapters, you really like them. So, and you were running one before. So, sell us on them.
It's gonna be a tough sell, to be honest, because I think I'm in the minority running frigates over ironclads, but I might give it a try. The play style I use is MSU, and I don't like to spend that many points in one big unit, and it can be the ironclad empty or with thunderers. Having the frigate allows me to have so many more toys, like small units of riggers, more gun haulers. So that to me is, I think, with the combined firepower of what I have and the board control I can have, because a few days ago at the tournament I saw two other KO players. They were both running Iron Sky Command, and one of them only had one ship. It was a one drop list, and the board control was not there. The firepower was, it was impressive, but he couldn't move all his riggers. Couldn't jump everything. Once the ironclad was down in wounds, it couldn't move. So to me, having those possibilities, I know I sacrifice a lot of firepower, but I have more ships and more units, and that to me is my style of play. I totally understand all the players rave about the Ironclad. I find it's a great model. It's a great war scroll, but it doesn't fit. It doesn't quite fit my play style as it is now. Because I used to run the Ironclad and the Frigate in the former book when no one were running ships, or maybe a Frigate for Zilfin. But I used to run the Ironclad. It's my favorite model in the whole range. But at that point, cost, even now at 480, it's a bit much for me, for my playstyle. So I know I didn't sell you anything about the Frigate, but it's just the way I see it.
The biggest argument that stands out to me is by taking the Frigate, you get more other stuff. So it's not the fact that the Frigate is good; it's more the fact that you get more cheaper, so you can fit more stuff in. But it does still have some troop capacity, and it's an interesting point. It's a very valid point, because actually, when you really look at the efficiency of units, the units are all more efficient than the ships anyway. In terms of damage output, it's just you can't necessarily get them where they need to be without the ships. And they are probably, particularly if you're going to compare to an ironclad, probably less durable than the ships.
Well, let me put it this way: for this roughly the same points as an ironclad, I run a 10-man thunder unit in a frigate, right? Yeah. So now it's 460 compared to 480 for an ironclad. Okay, it's still 34 wounds total. And the Thunderers, they add 20 wounds at 3 up because they're in garrison. If you charge my frigate and you kill it, and I don't screw up because I'm not allowing you to wrap around the frigate, I get to drop these guys, so they're all pretty safe from combat. They still can score points. There's still 10 models, so they can still contest. They can still grab objectives. Whereas if you lock down an ironclad and you bring it down enough, it loses a lot of its potency. That's what I think. That's my line of thinking.
Yeah. That is also why engine riggers are better than Sky Wardens, because if the ironclad does get dropped down in points, you've got a lot more healing capacity if you have engine riggers than if you have Sky Wardens, because you need that fly high or disengage. And especially if you've only got one ship, or you're running 2 drop and you've got 2 ships because you've got a gun hauler. But yet the board control is important, because really one ship probably doesn't cut it. Yeah.
Yes, I think also one ship just feels too little, because the power in this book comes from the fly high and the mobility, so from the ships.
Yeah.
And just running one ship, I don't know.
I think every list needs at least 20 Arcanauts and at least 2 ships to be competitive. At least.
I know someone who will disagree.
Interesting.
Because 20 Arcanauts, it gives you your screen.
20 Arcanauts is good. Yeah. It gives you it's your screen. It can sit on the backfield and capture your objectives.
Exactly.
20 Arcanauts is good, but I don't know if you need 2 ships. Just
I would say the other way around.
Punch to just one big punch in an ironclad wipes everything out.
Yeah. I don't know.
No more enemy army. No worries.
I don't know.
What is with Deepkin where you can only target the closest enemy unit?
There you go. That was my point as well.
Then you need to shoot the stupid thralls, who he doesn't care about. And your ironclad goes down in a blitz of biovoltaic eel.
Or he puts that one little character with the Cloud of Midnight and just deletes your shooting phase.
And they all get cover first turn.
No, they all get cover. You can't stop the cover.
No.
No. Idneth, that's a.
It's a tough
point.
one.
They're going to get a lot more popular now with us dropping down in
basically,
Could be.
don't. What I would do is just so whoever the guy with the Cloud of Midnight is, you're not killing him. Ignore him, even if it's the big avatar that they've got. Teleport around, get your ship in one flank, get the Thunderers in the other if you can. You should be able to kill 2 units plus whatever the you can do with Phosphex bombs and the Rat Trap on turn 1.
Mm.
Well, that's the other
Also,
thing.
you can
some of the
teleport in the
real-
middle of the board and avoid outflanking eels.
Mhm.
Hopefully,
Well, going back to the argument by Adeptus, I think it's exactly the other way around. I think 10 Arcanauts are okay, but 2 boats. And because if you are able to deploy in a corner, then 10 Arcanauts are enough to screen. However, I experienced, for example, the new shifting objectives battle plan now cuts off the edges of the deployment zone. It's just on the long side of the board. Then with all the ships and engine riggers that I bring, 10 engine riggers, 10 Arcanauts are not enough. So I was thinking about maybe stocking that up to 20, just for the screen.
Yeah, I mean, if you only have one ship, I guess you can corner deploy, but
no, even with 2.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just feel like 20 is a good number. It gives you numbers for controlling back objectives. I don't know. I think it's just a safer number, but that's the way I see it.
I mean, it's 90 points that I can spare now. So
yeah.
Well,
Agree to disagree.
I was often finding in previous lists that I was getting to a point where I couldn't add, like an extra unit of engine riggers, or I couldn't add thunderers in, and I could spend an extra 90 points to increase my 1 unit of Arcanauts up to 20 anyway. And you should definitely afford it now. Although the question now is, if you could afford 20 before, what could you spend? What can you get? But yeah, from a deployment point of view, you have a lot more flexibility if you have 20.
Yes,
I agree.
You can also easily give away the first turn, because what's going to happen? 90 points, 180 points are going to die. They have a gold, they can reroll saves, they have a 4+. They're battle shock immune if you're a 9 Sky Command. So
the other thing that's occurred to me is if you go down a frigate route, is if you have 2 frigates, then instead of just deploying in the corner, what if you deploy in both corners? Because then anything that, like, if you give away the turn, then it's very unlikely that they can put damage into both corners of the board.
That's a good point.
Most armies can't even put damage into one corner of the board, let alone 2.
And you force them to split.
Yeah, you force them to split or turning over 1. That has potential. And then, I mean, you're going to still need 20 Arcanauts at least, because you'd have to have 2 units of 10. I don't know if you want to have 2 units of 20.
No, but that's then perfect for the attack squadron. 2 frigates, 2 10-man units of Arcos, 100-point battalion, which is great for an extra artifact and a low drop and a CP.
And yeah, I think you can fit Attack Squadron and Iron Sky Command into a list now. I don't think you get much points to spend elsewhere, but it does fit.
But do you need the extra artifact or the extra command point for running a double battalion?
Probably not.
Because you can still do 2-drop or 3-drop with other stuff.
I think when I looked at it, you can't. I think it ends up being a choice between a spell in the bottle or the Engine Master with Dirigible. I don't think you can fit both in points wise. Well, you can fit spell in the bottle in, but you won't fit the spell in, unfortunately.
Yeah, like a small point spell, like
I think you end
30,
up with like
20 points, 30 points.
Which is it doesn't give you many options.
But in that case, maybe Plains is better.
how would you make a 2-drop list? If you need 2 boats, would you go Iron Sky Attack Squadron?
No, I would go Iron Sky Command and a gun holder.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I've been running before. So now I get to add another gun holder, or maybe a second Endospell, or stock up to 20 Arcanauts, or even an Admiral for 120. Who knows? To have, I don't know.
Decisions.
What for? Just to have a nice model that I painted up, which will not see the table because he's sitting in a boat.
Yeah.
Someone in the chat is saying you can do Escort Wing and the Iron Sky Command and Warp Lightning Vortex in that list.
But then you're down to 1 unit of engine frigates. So you have to see with battle line. Yeah, maybe. A lot of more options.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. If you do a unit of Skywarden, a unit of engine riggers, and the Arcanaut, you have your 3 battle lines. Or Frigate and Zilfin for the escort wing.
Yes.
That would work.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think when you look at the comparison between the escort wing and the Iron Sky Command, it normally comes down to drops in my opinion, because the Iron Sky Command can get to 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop easily. The escort wing, I mean, even in Urbans you can 2 drop, but then you still only 1 hero. I don't think 1 hero is enough for competitive play.
Usually not.
You can have hero missions. You can have missions where you score extra points if you have a leader on an objective.
Or maybe 2 is better to have the battle shock immunity. What's it called? The generic command. Exactly. Thank you.
Hold fast.
Yeah. So with escort wing, you end up basically looking often at 3 or 4 drops at minimum.
Yeah, because of the heroes.
And that's assuming that you don't add any engine riggers. I mean, you can go Sky Wardens in there, but
just even if you fly high and you need something to screen the back of the ship, 3-man unit engine riggers or Sky Wardens, they move 12. They can run 6 in Zilfin, so 18 inch. Don't even need to hitch them, or you hitch them and just deploy them on a line behind the ship, so the ship is safe from behind, and the front is gone because you just blasted it away.
Okay. So in terms of points, so anything we haven't covered. We talked about the Admiral, the Frigate, a little bit about the gun hauler. Didn't we? I mean, really, with the gun hauler, I guess we're all kind of happy it's gone down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's
of course.
It's a good little utility boat, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
You can give it a little bit of drink capacity if you want to. If you don't want to, you can still drag some riggers around, and that also the gun hauler also is part of the reason why I like the ironclad, because it can give the iron. I mean, it can give the frigate a ward save as well. It gives any ships other than gun haulers a ward save, but
never used it.
You never used it.
It never came up.
Use it once, I think. Because once the ships fly high, they're not that close apart. Because if the shooting phase doesn't go well, and then you can multi-charge the boats, it's never a good thing.
Yeah, you could set up the gun hauler on the side to the ironclad just to screen the ironclad, basically.
Yeah. I guess
to
you could.
prevent the charge into the ironclad and into your 20 funders in the boat.
I like it from a deployment perspective. If I'm giving away the first turn,
Yes.
having that extra save on the ironclad, because 3+ re-rolling saves, and then you add on a 6+.
And it's our only real mortal wound defense as well.
Yep. That and the Admiral, yeah. And the Admiral defense is just shifting the blame.
Yeah.
So we talked about KO points. We talked a little bit about Charles. Does anyone have any highlight? And we talked a little bit about things that didn't change that we kind of wish they did, such as Sky Wardens and sort of Rock not changing them up enough. Is everyone sort of happy with everything else that stays the same other than Sky Wardens?
Well, it's always good when everything goes down, right? So, I mean, of course, I would have liked maybe the Wardens to go down a bit, but, seeing how everything else pretty much went down, I mean, I can't complain.
It compensates. I mean, we don't have much war scrolls in the book, so you'll always have a mix of stuff. So the point losses in others, you can always compensate, and points elsewhere staying the same. And I think KO, they were good, and points were good beforehand. Now it's Christmas, and let's enjoy the points until the Christmas FAQ.
Yeah,
we got very lucky this Generals Handbook. A lot of other factions didn't.
No,
a lot
it's
of
really
factions
icing on
went
the
up in
cake.
points.
Yep.
Or
just lost like their big rule, like OBR, like Crit Effect, no longer elite. So
yeah.
Yeah, I've seen so many OBR armies on sale on Facebook in the recent days.
No way.
It is. I don't know if it's of this, but
And you'll probably see KOs out of stock on GW's website pretty soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be. Although I think a limiting factor is that not everyone likes the futuristic steampunk aesthetics.
Yeah,
that's true.
I know a lot of people who say it's too steampunky for a fantasy game. Maybe that will keep the balance and keep us a bit exclusive.
Niche.
I guess we are a Marmite army. You either love it or hate it in terms of aesthetic. What about the shooting mechanic? Do you think that will put some people off playing it? Do you think some people just want to push their toys forwards and charge?
You can do that. I charge my ironclad every time.
Yeah, true. Not really what I meant there. So some people, I think they don't want to play shooting armies.
Could be.
Do you think that will put some people off, or do you think some people they're more probably editor or hypocritical and they like to complain about shooting when someone's shooting them, but probably are more than happy to do the shooting and will switch to KO anyway?
Maybe people feel it's too much 40k-ish. Maybe.
I think power gamers gravitate towards the best army, and right now KO with the point changes and how Zinch was nerfed, OBR was nerfed, I think that KO is now on that elite tier of armies, and power gamers will flock to that army because of that.
Yeah.
That's
welcome to
that's
the
what
S tier.
There you go. There you go.
The Sky Vessel tier.
We made it. We made it, guys.
It was a long way from the bottom. Oh yeah.
At what cost?
Remember, guys, when the gun hauler used to be 220 points?
Yeah.
It was bad. We've come a long way.
Shot one cannon shell at D6 damage. 220 points.
On the 4-up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm just hoping this follows the previous trend to some degree, where the ironclad ends up at 380 again.
Yes, let's have that. Let's have 380 point ironclad, perfectly balanced.
Yeah.
As all things should be.
Oh, there
you go.
Does anyone have anything they want to pick out from allies or other factions in terms of points changes? Just to quickly highlight.
I know you have.
Do I?
Yeah, and it has wings.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I will. In fact, how do I rearrange things so you can show it in all its glory?
Oh, yes.
Here we go.
Awesome.
So one thing. Actually, you were talking about a different thing. I'll talk about my thing,
Yeah.
and then you can talk about your thing because they both have wings, which is what confused me. So the first thing is Aether Wings. What does everybody think of Aether Wings as an ally pick for 40 points
With or without Raptors?
without Raptors?
Then
The
You're
Power-
frowning. You think no?
I
that
don't.
what do they do?
Yeah.
They are a bargain basement cheat to sit on a objective. That's what they do, or to screen for 40 points. And they
40
fly.
points, 6 wounds.
Yeah, there'll be a no. I don't see their usefulness at all.
Hmm.
We're already fast. We're already. I don't know. I don't see what they add. I don't see it.
Fair enough.
If you have like 40 points, lying around, sure, why not? But I don't know. I could see with Raptors though, because now you can block charges, you can do something else with them. But other than that, I don't know. I don't think we need that kind of unit in our army. Our Arcanauts are there for that. They're more durable. You got Ether Gold. They can shoot. They can still do some damage. And they're only 50 points more. For 7 more wounds, 4 up save, shooting attacks. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're probably only really an option if you're going for a higher drop list anyway. Because that's the other
That's
thing that's going to increase your drop count.
Because you might
Yeah.
want to add 2 units free. You screen on the sides, send them forward. They move 12-inch, I think.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
12.
I mean, it's 40 points. If they kill them, who cares? They score a point for 1 round. And it's 1 more round where you sit behind Aether Wings and shoot.
Yeah. I'm not convinced by them, but they're very good value for what they are. I mean, you compare them to Arcanauts. I mean, the fact that you can compare them to Arcanauts, because Arcanauts are very good value as well. I mean, that kind of highlights how good value they are. No, I mean, it also depends what Skyport you're playing, because if you're injecting, you can quite easily send a unit of Arcanauts forward onto a center objective because you always run 6. If you just grab an objective without, committing. Anyway, it sounds like no one's really convinced about them. Something I know quite a few people are convinced about in the KO chat is the Celestine Prime.
Yes, he's awesome. For 300 points,
I could see that.
he's done.
Nice.
Found a use for Brock.
Yeah.
Ah, nice.
The
that could be doable.
Galmaraz is back with the dwarves, where it belongs. And this is something that, goddammit, Gary came up with, and I tested it in a few games now. It's a free drop list, and with 300 points of a prime that he gets stronger the longer he sits in reserve. It's a dead drop, so you say, okay, free drops, mine's in reserve, you don't put down anything. And he has a great shooting attack, 24 inches, which does some little AoE mortal wound, which you can add to the vortex. So if the vortex didn't do as you expected, and there's still that little hero you want to kill, shoot him. If you roll good, you kill some stuff in a 6-inch bubble. And if he comes down, he can auto charge because he has that ability where he can just change a roll once a turn, change it to a 12-inch charge, go in, hammer down, free rend, free damage on his weapon. If he comes down the second round, he makes your double turn if you got it so much more devastating because now he has 5 attacks. I don't see him staying up in the sky further than the second round because by then everything's shot dead already. What is he doing? Yes.
How long would you normally leave him? Would you usually bring him down turn 1 or turn 2?
That's what I like about him because it brings you some flexibility. You can put him in reserve and still bring him on first turn. Then he only has 3 attacks, his base stats, but he can shoot. And you can use the change the dice per turn to make it a bigger area, so make it a 6-inch aura for his shot, for his comet shot that he has. Or you can still charge him in if you wanna shoot away a screen and then do a 12-inch charge with him to get to the juicy stuff. Or you can see, okay, I'm good, I'm fine, I can give away the turn or get the double turn, and then he comes down the second round and he has 5 attacks, and then it also plays a bit with the mind of your opponent because there's something else that comes down which is tough in melee. I mean, he has 8 wounds, free up save. He will probably die after a second round of combat. He's a hero. He can use a command point to reroll hits. If you get a triumph, my list currently has 1970 points, so I'm pretty sure I get a triumph, give it to him, reroll all hits or all wounds, since now we only have 3 triumphs. It's another option in your very mobile arsenal.
It'd be interesting to try. I'd like to see how that works out. Just a combat punch in your army that I normally don't take anyway.
It's good. I'm not 100% sold yet, but it's something different.
It's worth a try anyway.
Yep.
It's 80 points more than Brock. So
you put it that way, it's a bargain. And you can fit them in a true drop list as well.
Yep.
There's not really any other ally options I think are really worth highlighting that much, are they? That sort of stand out from the crowd. Does anyone have any? You've always been keen on adding in something.
I mean, I always like the Ordinator and the Vexilla currently, with the two ironclads, get them both to hit on 2s, teleport forward, teleport the Ordinator forward with them. How many points are EVKs now? Are they still 220?
I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah, I think they didn't change. It's 220 for 5.
All right. So you still can't use 10 of them anymore. That's a shame. No, I think you probably need 10 to make them worth it. Oh, actually, one ally we haven't talked about, Mr. Gotrek. What do we think about him?
Well, he didn't
the big man himself.
He's still 520, so he's more than an ironclad, and he's a lot less movable.
If only you could fit Gotrek in an ironclad, that would be so sweet.
Yeah.
Botrek.
Yeah. With the round thing, that would be awesome.
That would be so powerful if you could.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Max, I feel like we can't. Are you muted?
Yes, I am.
There you go.
Yeah, I saw you gesturing and stuff, but
doesn't matter. I agree. Gotrek is unfortunately too slow in an army which just flies about and jumps from one end to the other. He's not going to keep up, and nothing's going to reach him anyway.
Nah.
No. Knight and Canter. He's gone down.
Down 20 points.
It's an automatic unbind.
if you want that second automatic unbind with the navigator and that endless spell or second endless spell, the vortex could be an option. No, you talked about your combo with the comet earlier in the show. That could be doable, like a double whammy, the vortex plus the comet. I like it. Plus, it gives you an automatic unbind, which is always good to have. Yeah, I could see it.
Does he have those vials that he can blast for mortal wounds in combat?
Yeah, some mortal wounds in combat as well.
So yeah, he's
I think
suicide bomber.
Combat phase as well. So before it doesn't come down into activation. So is that I'm not so keen on the the comet tactic that I was using before, just because of Seraphon being around with their table wide unbinds. He's got no bonuses to cast. And basically, against Seraphon, he's not casting it. And
but you can auto unbind it and cast it again. If it goes off the first round, because you can stay outside of 30 unbind range, so it's basically only Seraphon that can unbind him.
Yeah.
You throw it out if you manage. What is it, a 6 or a 7? I don't know.
It's a 6. So.
It's a 6. Should be doable. And if everything's moved away from it, auto unbind it, throw it out again.
I have to check that because I'm not sure if he can actually. I don't think he
can he not auto dispel it?
I think he can only auto unbind.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the trouble. Is the Seraphon are quite popular. So I mean, I think if you're going to take him, you're taking him mostly just for his auto unbind. But I mean, we have an option where if you have the navigator, you can get the Voidstone Orb. And again, it's problematic because it's an artifact. But yeah, with sport for choice and artifact.
Yes, you are correct. It is only unbinding. No.
Yeah, I think we covered pretty much everything without going through every single point in the GHP.
Marauders are gone.
Yes.
Mercenaries are gone.
No, my ghouls. Oh, speaking of things that are gone, hell cannons. Hell cannons are gone.
No more hell cannons in Barrack.
That was a failure, Kron. It's actually, you had a chance to have the first show since a new book to not talk about the hell cannon, and you failed. You only had one job.
Well, what do you mean failure? I got to talk about the hell cannon every time.
Yeah, but we've replaced that because now every show I'm going to talk about Aether Wings, and everyone's just going to be like, "No, you're stupid." So it'll be fine. We can all have our one little crutch. Yours can be Brock Adeptus. And
next show, I'll wear a top hat.
Yes.
Mustache cannons. I need to see mustache cannons. What doesn't work?
Just two little walkers.
I just might surprise you guys.
So yeah.
No. But have we covered everything? Do we think, Kang?
Yeah, I think that about wraps it up. It's a great day to be KO.
Yeah.
Great day to be a KO. Bad day to be an OBR.
Yeah.
So yes, on the good news, there was a tournament last Saturday here in Germany with 30 people, I think, a lot of the top German players, and KO took it out. So with old points still. New battle plans, but old points.
Do you have
there was a guy I think from South Carolina that did the same thing.
I have a list, yes.
Yes. So the tournament I'm going to is going to be a bit strange. So they're using the GHB and any points that are in the GHB, but they're not using any of the FAQ points. So I still get to use old points, while Nighthaunt and such are going to be using new points.
Okay.
That's strange.
That's interesting.
So
it's
a bit interesting. I guess so. The new points came out at about the same time that the list submissions were due. So I guess it ties in with that. And the endless spell got updated in the GHB, so I get 20 points off my list that way. But yeah, no. Other than that, I'm still using old points.
But you should still be fine.
Yeah.
So-
The only thing is that's frustrating is, between now and then you're really gonna be practicing with your old list still, as opposed to moving on to your new one.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just looking at this Lord Ordinator, the Celestine Prime. Yeah, I really do want to try him. So
He's okay
once
at
per
300
turn,
points.
once per turn, you can change one of the following dice rolls to a roll of your choice. Apply any modifiers to new roll. One charge roll for this model. Does that mean he can auto charge 12? Like, just
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
because a
Just
charge roll is to
comes
both
down.
dice.
Yeah.
So he won't fail that charge. He will just charge 12.
Yeah,
And kick
the only
ass.
thing
And you
that-
can roll first to see if he
Awesome
makes
roll.
it. And if he makes it, then you can change a different roll. You can change
Yeah.
a one hit that he didn't do, or one wound that he rolled a 1, which he likes to
That
do.
is good.
It is, and free rend is it just goes through everything, and then free flat damage with 5
With
attacks.
3 to,
That's a lot.
3 to 5 attacks.
It,
I mean,
it-
yeah.
7, potentially 9, but not
I guess I probably would put him down turn 2, because if you know you're going to get that 9-inch charge off, then yeah, turn 2, come in.
something's gonna get smashed.
Yeah.
And
So if
how
you're
many points did
interested,
it used to be?
340. So he went down 40
Okay.
points,
Ooh.
which is a lot. Yeah. So if you're interested, the list from last Saturday was a Barak Zilfin, classic Iron Sky Command with 10 Arcanauts, 3 Endrin Riggers, 12 Endrin Riggers, all guns and drill launchers, which I don't get. 10 Grunstock Thunderers, an Ironclad, Warp Lightning Vortex. 1960 points at the time. So
Wait.
a bit
Interesting.
odd.
Do you have an Endron Master in there?
Yes, Ender Master, Dirigible Suit, Navigator, Chemist. All in the
Oh, yeah.
Ironclad. So it's a 2-drop, but the second drop is 10 Thunderers in the Ironclad and only 1 boat. And only 3 Endrin Riggers can hitch, and the other one is a 12 shooting unit, which just moves up with a 36 inch threat range. But all drill, and the Endrin Riggers are drill launchers. Maybe opting for the mortals, but I don't think drill cannons or drill launchers on the Endrin Riggers are the solution.
But-
It's an interesting choice, but hey, it won the tournament, so
It did.
who are we to
And it's-
judge?
There you go.
12-man
So-
units of riggers, I think, have legs.
They have gas because they get a gold.
They get the gold. Yeah, I agree that the drill cannons is an interesting choice. I don't think it's necessarily a bad choice because, I mean, you're not necessarily going to get many mortal wounds from the drill cannons, but when you do, that's flat free.
Well, if you reroll hits, you can fish. What is it on a 6?
5. Or is it?
No,
it's 6.
5
No,
is
on
for the
the-
gun hauler.
On the Endrin Ring, it's just on a 6. So you have four shots.
Yeah, but it's still ran -3 D3 wounds, so
Yeah,
it's
if
still
it goes
not that bad. Even if you don't roll that 6, still pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's going to be matchup dependent because for a lot of things, the difference between the -3 rend on that and the -2 rend on
On the
Sky Grapnels
grapnel, yeah, and then free flat damage.
is they both go straight through on a lot of things.
So it has begun. The KO domination era has begun.
But I mean, it's a fairly solid list, and of course it's gone down in points now.
It was already 1960, so now it's, I think, below 1900.
Yeah, so they can easily pay an extra unit or something.
It's exactly 1900. Yeah, fit another 6. Endrin Riggers, 3. So make it a 6 unit and a 12 unit.
Yes, yeah. And then you got the 6 unit can go around the ship then.
Mhm.
But I think we've covered everything we can do for now, haven't we? I was trying to keep score of whether people being happy or sad about things that I gave up halfway through. But I think generally speaking, we're all happy about the changes, aren't we?
Our opponents are sad, but we're happy.
They don't get to call themselves sad rolls unless they
No,
do.
they didn't get that.
Unless they do switch armies. in which case they'd be Admirals anyway.
Yeah.
For
One
all
thing
the
to look
OBM
out.
players out there,
Yeah.
we're welcoming you with open arms.
But you do have to scrub the decks first.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see the mirror match. KO versus
Yeah,
KO.
we're gonna have to start thinking about like what do you do if the opponent also has boats?
Oh yeah.
On the
Mm.
Vortex.
And that's
Two
where
lightning vortexes just.
drop count will
So
matter.
who goes first wins, basically.
Yeah.
Try to Vortex the chemist in the boat.
Yeah, because if you take out if they are running an Iron Sky Command, if you take out their ironclad, then they're dead in the water. Actually,
Yeah,
Just
it's tough
start
to
playing
take it out.
Pirates of the Caribbean as two ironclads start broadsiding each other.
Around the Vortex.
So, but yeah, it's been great to have you all on. We will do some more shows soon because I want to go deep dive into things like the battle plans and the spell choices and things with the new points.
I've played some of those battle plans. They're good. They're interesting.
They're fun, yes.
I agree.
Well,
Thanks for having us, Lee.
Yes, thank you very much.
Glad to have
Yeah.
you both on, and you as always, Con, as well. Yeah, it's nice to have different opinions, and shame I've been ignoring it to an extent. I'm afraid there's been so much going on in the chat that I haven't been able to keep up. Like just been
How many viewers do we have?
at one point, for a lot of the time, we're averaging about 21 or from 18 to 21. It's dropped down to 14 now because I'm assuming people like realize we're about to end the show.
We're wrapping up, yeah.
But yeah, the chat is. I feel bad because I normally try and keep an eye on it, but it just went. We were chatting away, and then they were chatting away, and couldn't keep up with it, unfortunately. So I'll try to do better with that in the future. If you did like the show, like and subscribe, please, because that's what you do.
Hit the bell button.
That's the thing I have to say. And thank you.
Gotta appease that YouTube algorithm.
Yes. Cool. So, bye everyone.
See ya.
Goodbye.